Hello. I'm going to tell you a story about the story of Passover. This book is called A Picture Book of Passover. I'm going to read parts of it by David A. Adler and illustrated by Linda Heller. The story of Pesach is really the story of the Jewish people and how we became a great nation. It's the story of Yaakov's family. Yaakov, also called Yisroel. The story begins with Paro, the ruler of Egypt. As we know from class, Joseph was in prison because Potiphar's wife had lied about him, and his brothers had sold him before, and he's in prison. And at the same time, during that time, Paro had two dreams. In the first, there were 7 fat, healthy cows who were eaten by 7 thin, sickly cows. And in the second dream, 7 big ears of corn were eaten by 7 small ears of corn. You see the picture? The dreams worried Paro, and he asked his wise men to explain them to him, but they couldn't. Then the man who poured his wine remembered Joseph in prison, and he told them about Joseph. And Joseph was brought to the king Paro. And Joseph said, both dreams, both the one about the cows and the one about the corn, are really one dream. With these dreams, Hashem has shown Paro what he's about to do. There will be 7 good years, followed by 7 years when nothing will grow. You must save food during the 7 good years for the 7 years that follow. And so, oops, I skipped a page. The people did as Joseph advised, and the food they saved in Egypt, in Mitzrayim. And Joseph became second to the king. When Joseph's father, Yaakov, and his 11 brothers came also to Mitzrayim to get food, they again saw Joseph. And as we know that beautiful story about how Joseph tested them by putting the goblet in Benjamin's bag, and how they all would not let Benjamin be kept as a slave, and they said, Yehuda said, take me as a slave instead. And then Joseph told them, I am Joseph. Is my father still alive? And then they all moved down to Mitzrayim. And he told them they should live in Goshen. And Goshen was a very, very good part of the land, very fertile. They could be shepherds there. Well, many, many, many years passed. Joseph passed away, and all of his brothers passed away. And then there was a new Paro. And this Paro wasn't so nice. He didn't remember how Joseph had saved all the Jewish people. And now there wasn't just 70 Jewish people. Now they had children, and their children had children, and their children had children. Now there's lots and lots and lots of Jewish people living in Mitzrayim because they keep having children. When the new Pharaoh saw all these Jewish people, he was worried. Maybe they're going to want to fight me. I better make sure that I get rid of them. Here's a picture. So Paro had a plan. I know how I'm going to keep the Jews from becoming powerful. I'm going to make them slaves. So he told his advisors, go tell the children of Israel that I'm going to pay them to make bricks and to build walls around the cities of Pison and Ramses. At first, the Mizraim were not so mean to the Jewish people, but little by little, they turned them into slaves. Then they got meaner and meaner and would whip them and really hurt them. But the Jewish people still kept having children, more and more children. They just had lots and lots of children. In fact, they would have 6 children at a time. Now Paro was really getting worried. Now Paro had advisors who would look into the stars, and they would decide what was going to happen. And they said, uh-oh, Paro, you better watch out. When we look in the stars, we could see that there's going to be a Jewish boy who's going to be born, and he's going to save the Jewish people and take them out of Mitzrayim. Said Paro, no. Uh-oh, I have an idea. I don't want that to happen. Have every Jewish boy thrown into a river. Thrown into the river Nilus, I should say. And so that's what they did. And they kept very careful records. Oh, well, actually, this book didn't say. First he asked Yocheved and her daughter Miriam, who were the midwives, to get rid of the Jewish people, to get rid of the Jewish boys. But they wouldn't do it. They said, oh no, every time we go to help the Jewish ladies have a baby, we can't hurt the little baby because they just have babies so fast, they have them before we even get there. So that wasn't working. So then he decided to just throw them into the Nilus. And so when a baby was born, when they saw mommy was pregnant, they would say, okay, I know she's going to have a baby like in about a few weeks, so we're going to stand guard at the tent or at their house, and as soon as we hear the baby cry, the soldiers are going to throw him into the river. But of course, we know that really, even when they threw him in the river, Hashem took them and took care of them, and they came back. Now, Yocheved, she was having a baby, and they knew that she was having a baby, and she was very worried. But Hashem made a miracle, and the baby was born 3 months early, so the soldiers didn't know to come to their house. And so she kept the baby, and he was so beautiful, and they named him Tuvia because he was so good. But then it was almost 3 months, and she knew the soldiers are going to come soon, so she made a little basket out of reeds and mud and tar, and she put the little baby boy into the basket and hid it in the bulrushes along the river. And the baby's sister, whose name was Miriam, watched to see what would happen. A princess, the daughter of Paro, found the little basket and took it from the water. She brought the baby to the palace, and she named him Moshe. And they couldn't get anybody. She said, I'm going to raise this boy. But no, the baby wouldn't drink from anybody's, it wouldn't take milk from anybody. So Miriam ran to the princess and she said, do you want me to get somebody who could take care of the baby? And the princess was a nice lady, and she said, yes, because he's not eating from anybody. So she did that. And so they brought it to Yocheved, and Yocheved was actually able to take care of the baby whose name was now Moshe for 3 months. For 3 years, and then she had to give him back to Bacha. As he got bigger and bigger, he lived in the king's palace. Moshe grew up, and they knew he was Jewish, but they thought that he was not going to hurt the Mitzrayim. But when he looked out the window, when he saw the Jewish people suffering as slaves, he just couldn't stand it. And when he saw Mitzrayim beating a Jewish person, he said Hashem's name, and the man passed away. And so he had to run away, and he ran and ran far away to Midian. And there he married a lady named Zipporah, and he took care of sheep. One day, many, many years later, while Moshe was watching the sheep, and when the little Shepselach ran away, he went to make sure it was okay, that it didn't get eaten by a wolf, and he ran after it, and then he saw a bush that was burning. It was in flames, but it wasn't becoming black and going to the ground. Moshe said, I want to go see what's going on. So he looked closer, and then he heard a voice, the voice of Hashem, saying, Moshe, Moshe. And he said, here I am. And it was Hashem speaking to Moshe. He said, take off your shoes, because this is holy here. Took off his shoes. And Hashem said, I have heard the cries of my people, and I will deliver them out of Mitzrayim, and I want you to be the leader. At first, Moshe didn't want to, because remember, he had burned his mouth when he had been in Paro's palace when he was a little baby, and Paro wanted to see if he wanted his crown, and instead he took the coals. Okay, I'm going to stop here.